Hello, it's Phillip Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers speaking. I'm talking about an interesting book which applies to everybody today. It's about reputation. It's a book by Simon Smith. It's this one here. It's called Image, Persona and the Law. It's now in a second edition. It's a slim book from Thomson, Sweet and Maxwell. You can see there's a little bit on the back. It's a standard way in which they do things with paragraph numbers at the sides and so on. Very good index at the front, some good contents, and right at the back there's again a useful index and a huge amount of detail. Now the point about this book is it's actually quite thin, and I'm glad it's thin, because after things like Gatley on libel and slander, which is of course a main textbook, this one in its own way is a very important book for its wealth of detail, and from the experience of the point of view of Mr. Smith himself, whom I've met. This is the Flickr review that I have produced, and I've given it the title Reputation and the Law Re-Examined, because that's what he's doing in the light of interesting new judgments and the fact that this is a moving target at the moment. It's moving forward very quickly with a clear, complete lack of understanding about how we are going to police and deal with the internet and all the new technology areas that we have, whilst at the same time maintaining the common law traditions and standards which we've come to expect. Now, what's in a name? What's your name? Is your name or your client's bound up with reputation, or vice versa? These are the sorts of questions you'll obviously ask. And when reputation is perceived to be threatened by the invasion of privacy, or where any or all of these issues coincide, what recourse is available under the law? Not very much, you might think. However, these and related issues are examined logically and exhaustively by Simon Smith in this admirable new edition of the book. It's admirably thin in stature, as I mentioned, but it's grand in content. As he states in the introduction, the subject of the work is the protection in the law of England and Wales of name, image and other aspects of persona, both in the specific content of commercial exploitation without the individual's consent, and in the separate context of invasion of privacy. So the focus of this latest second edition is squarely on the current approach of the law in England and Wales. So Image, Persona and the Law, this book here, examines the significant developments which have occurred regarding the right of privacy in the UK, and that's the area I'm concentrating on. Of public as well as professional interest are the landmark decisions that we've had, which are discussed, including those of the Douglas Zeta-Jones litigation, which with Hello, which everybody will be aware of, and the recent Max Mosley decision, plus the precedent which was set by J.K. Rowling's young son. Remember, her name was Murray in the particular case. The book also looks at 5 areas which I think are very important. An explanation of how the law of passing off was extended to offer claimants a means of enforcing their personality rights. A look at the law of defamation and the misuse of the individual's image. Coverage of the applicable copyright law relating to the exploitation of identity. A section on trademark law and how it relates to image, name and persona. That's obviously important for stars. And a discussion of relevant European and international case law and legislation. Throughout the themes of this, I mentioned the word personality. Well, it is personal, it's about personality, but it's about your personal part. If you think of the history of the common law, that personal part of your stuff that you obviously have, unlike, say, tangible objects like land. So let's look at Simon Smith. He's a partner in Shillings, and he's considered, in fact, to be one of the best practitioners in this area, and he specialises in defamation, privacy, image, endorsement, confidence and contracts, and he's pursued many successful libel actions in the High Court. Obviously, confidence is the area where Max Mosley's been involved recently. That's an area that's got the publicity. Smith elaborated on his main thesis to me in a recent meeting that we had. I found it very useful because it was started off as a panel discussion with a much wider number of people, and it was set up to discuss and investigate the best strategy for protecting a client's image, privacy or reputation. And I was able to chat to him afterwards about the book, which is a sort of practical approach, if you like, to how we deal with our own personality in legal terms. So his book, now in a second edition, illustrates the fact that it's actually a book in demand, and one I think many people should have. It's a practical guide, as I say, as to where we are on reputation, and it really covers people from, say, footballers to pop stars to the whole range of people, and also, of course, to ordinary people, not just the famous and the celebrity elements. So Smith on Persona, as I'm going to call it, speaks with authority, based on scholarship and experience of the subject. If you, and in particular your client, value names and reputations as most of us do, in other words your persona and image, you'll find this book fascinating as well as indispensable, and it's a must in my view for all journalists in the field. It will certainly be back in a new edition, as I'm sure you'll be aware, because this story will run and run. Thanks very much, Simon. Bye-bye.